Well, this video is exactly why I needed a different backdrop. I have yet to complete that because it's not exactly the type of video to normally be set in front of a bunch of board games. That said, maybe it's good symbolism for just a regular dude trying to speak out on something that's horrendous. And I've been digging deeper into what's going on in the UK, feeling some sense of responsibility to try and raise awareness on certain things there, even if they are more difficult topics maybe or rough topics that don't necessarily fit on a channel that often roasts comics and things like that. But right now in the UK, there is, and has been for some time, basically a press blackout that affects lots of trials that, you know, here in the United States, we're used to knowing what's going on in certain trials. Now, I can understand that being convicted in the court of public opinion is a huge problem. It is a huge problem in the United States, too. However, I still see it as the lesser of two evils, given that everyday citizens in the UK have a very difficult time to know some of the statistics that I'm going to share with you, some of the reasons Tommy Robinson is out trying to report on these things, some of the reasons that Tommy Robinson has traded his now freedom for the next 13 months and safety. These numbers need to be out there. These facts, statistics need to be out there. Your press, the UK's press, and again, I know I have a lot of UK subscribers. The overwhelming majority of them have reached out, many, in like personal manners and DMs or emails to support covering it. Some have had to do it anonymously, and as I've said in my first video about the Tommy Robinson situation, it is, I mean, I'm being totally honest in that it is very difficult for me to even understand a world where you aren't allowed to talk about certain things or aren't allowed to say certain things. And it has only hardened my resolve on absolutely defending free speech. You have a situation now where the government has disarmed its citizens. It has removed them from even owning something like a butter knife. If you think I'm kidding, look it up. This is real. The UK police will often proudly display a pile of what appear to be many kitchen knives as some sort of big drug bust. Meanwhile, in their streets, it's an all-you-can-rape buffet. They don't talk about that. The people that would talk about it can't, and the people that don't want to talk about it are incentivized not to talk about it, right? This is why in the United States the Second Amendment is so important. Because it's easy for a lot of anti-2A people, for example, in current year, every time we have a situation, a bad school event or something like that, people are always saying, you don't need this, we need to get rid of them, we need to get rid of them, blah, 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 blah. Well, this is why I fight against it. This is why you cannot give an inch when it comes to your rights. It starts small, as I mentioned in the first video. And before they come for your sporting rifles, and then before you know it, you're getting arrested for having a knife that you also use to cut your butter. Now, I've seen these statistics shared by several places, and with any statistics, the old saying is there are lies, there are damn lies, and then there are statistics, okay? Now, I've seen these numbers verified by a few independent people, but as with anything, use this to frame why it's important that the people in the UK organize and rise up against this stuff and start to fight for the rights back. Because people like Tommy Robinson, it's easy, so easy to silence one person. And all the people out protesting, Monday, Tuesday is going to come back around, and they're going to have to go back to work. And they're going to have to go back to their families. And it is, in modern times, very difficult to keep a sustained pressure on your government in a day and time where we're all inundated with other things to think about. It's so easy to move on to something, to forget about Tommy rotting away in a jail cell. Did he put himself in harm's way? Sure. Probably shouldn't have gone there, I guess. We can say that now. But if he didn't, would we be talking about this? Would we be saying, when we look at statistics between 2016 and 2017 in England and Wales, okay, the Rape Crisis Center responded to the highest ever number of helpline calls during that year, 202,666, 4,000 calls a week. These services were accessed by 67,059 individuals, a 16% increase from the previous year. These services provided in excess of 450,000 sessions, including advocacy, emotional support counseling, an increase of 29% from the previous year. 75% of all adult service users contacted the crisis centers about sexual violence that took place at least 12 months earlier. 42% were adult survivors of child abuse. The largest number of rape crisis centers, now over half of service users, is those who prefer to self-refer. Pattern has remained consistent over the past 6 years and continues to demonstrate the necessity for funded independent services. 93% of service users were female. Were ages known? 2,651 were 15 years or younger, an increase of 55% in the previous year. Those aged under 25 represented 36% of service users. Over 30 times more children reported multiple assaults in the last year, 904 compared with 29. During the 2016-2017 year, there were 666 cases reported. 93% of those were women. 2,651 of them, of their victims, were 15 and under. There is a major, major issue with rape in the UK. These grooming gangs, while they don't commit 100% of the crime, these numbers are alarming. And if you can't report on them, how will people know? When you have a country that, when viewed as an American, someplace that's at least as safe as where I live, or used to be, you have no-go zones where people can't go, where the government is quietly telling people, hey, if you don't want to get raped, please don't go to these areas. And you're also not allowed to talk about it. You're not allowed to talk about anything related to keeping yourself or keeping its own citizens safe. But, Tommy Robinson needs to go to jail. He was sentenced and in jail in a few hours. No trials, from what I can tell. The judge knowingly was told that he was essentially sentencing him to a situation where he'd have to fight for his life. And his response was essentially, well, he should have known the risks. I'm very happy to continue to report on this should you continue to be interested in knowing more. My hope is that people in the UK will see this video and they will share this video with others. And people will start to do their own research. And once people can get together and organize and sustain, then and only then can people really hope for change.